All right. So I was yesterday I was looking at I was looking through there's this astrology app that I like to follow, and I want to say that I'm not super into that stuff, but that I'm fascinated by it. But what I love about these specific apps that I look at is that they don't say like, oh, this is what's going on in your life. It seems it's more like providing some food for thought that could like coordinate. Um, Usually it's just like, I don't know if it's just luck of the draw. Anyway, so yesterday I go in and the headline is, if you are trying to feel comfortable, then that is the fastest way to feel miserable. If you're trying, if you're focusing on feeling comfortable. And it reminded me of that. It's first of all, it's a very big part of Buddhism is that we say that we know that we're going to suffer. Things are not going to be rosy all of the time. And if we expect that and if we cling to that, then we're going to be dissatisfied because the reality is not that. And also we have this kind of playing with this idea lately of if we're not usually perfectly balanced, if we're not usually in where everything's like totally calm and easy, then we have to learn how to exist in where we usually are, which is somewhere in that swinging in the balance. And not to say that like it has to be really negative, right? Of course, we know that like it doesn't have to say like, oh, well, I'm just going to be miserable all of the time because I'm always suffering. No, I'm not going to be miserable because I understand that I need to find contentment and presence and breath in those moments that are not perfectly rosy, because so little is. So I can choose to adjust my perspective to allow for that. So we're going to do some transition-y stuff, maybe get a little bit uncomfortable, which should be pretty good. And we'll start off with face brushing. So index finger and thumb together, going from the center of your forehead outwards towards your temples. And then from the sides of your nose out to your temples, along your cheekbones. And underneath your chin, going in and out. And then just pressing in between the corners of your mouth and the corners of your nose. And then massaging underneath and behind your ears, lifting up a little bit longer in your spine. And keeping that lift as you rest your hands down into your lap. You can close your eyes for a moment and start to connect with your breath, checking in on the body that you've brought to your mat today. And we'll begin practice with 3 Alms, taking a big breath in through your nose, big exhale through your mouth. Again, like that. For 3 Alms. Oh. 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 And as you open your eyes, we're just going to start off laying on our backs. So come on down. I'll adjust the lights just for a moment. We're going to let your knees be bent. Extend one leg up in the air. You can hold on to it and start to bring it in towards you if that feels good. You can bend it if that feels better. You can try to make it straight. I won't be super bossy about this one. Just feel your hamstring opening up. You might even move your foot around a little bit if there's any little shifts that feel interesting or helpful. And just take 2 more breaths. Then relax your leg, go ahead and set it down. Just take the other one up. You can play with a bent leg or trying to get a straight leg. You can bring it into you if you like to. Don't worry about how far it gets. You might move your foot around a little bit or make some little shifts. And take 2 more breaths. And go ahead and release that leg. You're gonna hold on to your right knee. Let your left leg slide out a little bit more and come into a small twist. So you'll draw the knee across the body. You can open your right arm up if it feels good to you. Just going nice and gentle. One more breath out. And then coming to your back, switching the legs out. Take your left leg in, let the right leg go out longer, and then come into a small twist. One more breath out. And then coming back to the center, go ahead and bring your knees into your chest, rock yourself up to a seat. And then take your, oops, sorry, I went past on the lights there, Tom. Take your left leg and take your right leg. It's okay to have both out, both will be fine. We're gonna bend deliberately into your right leg, and then you might adjust your flesh and then try to come towards the bent leg so you can get your belly and your thigh maybe a little bit closer. And if that feels like intense in your back or intense in your hamstrings and that's enough stretch, you can stay there. If you can start to straighten your leg and then keep trying to get your torso very close to your thigh. One more exhale. And then walk it back, switch your legs. You're gonna start off with the leg bent, so you just have a little bit easier time of getting in closer to it. It'll be a little bit easier on the hamstring. And yeah, you can leave it out and just come over your leg too. That'll be good. If you can straighten the leg more and still get your torso closer to it, you can work with that too. But it doesn't have to get straight. We really just want to get this closeness of the belly in towards the thigh. One more big breath in. Big breath out. And then lift yourself up. We're going to take both legs out in front. Start with them bent. See how close you can get your belly and your thigh in together. You can hold on back behind your knees as you draw your heart forward. And then maybe you start scooching those feet out in front of you a little bit more. And it's still pretty early in practice and it's all cold and blustery today. So just breathe into wherever you're able to get. And then back off a bit. Go ahead and let those legs become straighter. They don't have to get totally straight. You can keep a bend in it if you like them a little bit bent, and then see about coming forward again, just for a breath. And walk it back. I'm gonna come onto our hands and knees. If you have a block and you want to use it in case you ever feel like your arms get short, you can have that handy up towards the front of your mat. I'm gonna come up onto fingertips. And then let yourself kind of settle down in your shoulders and just being heavy on the arm bones, and then change that to lifting up away from those arm bones. So you're a little bit more lifted, and you can stay on fingertips or on fists or go down to your wrists depending on what you prefer, but try to keep that lifted space in your shoulders. And take a few cat and cow here. Inhale, looking up, and then exhale, rounding your spine. Just moving with your breath. Take one more exhale, rounding a little bit more, and then come into a more neutral spine here. You're going to take your left arm and reach out in front of you, and you want to still stay lifted up out of that right shoulder. Reach from your left armpit out into your hand, and then as you exhale, round your whole spine, tuck your elbow in, and inhale, reach the arm forward. Exhale, pull it in. So you might still feel a little bit of cat-cow kind of spine going on. One more round. Good. And then reach your left arm out again. You can keep your right toes on the floor, sending the leg behind you, or you can lift the leg up. It's up to you. But when you get that leg back there, see if you can feel your inner thigh on that back leg rolling up to the sky. It's going to help to keep your hips a little more even, and then reach out a little bit more from your left armpit, and then go ahead and set your left hand down. You can pick the right leg up if you like. We're going to tuck it in towards your chest. As you inhale, reach the leg back, try to lift your inner thigh, and then exhale, pulling it in. Once more, inhale, reach it back. Exhale, pull it in. When you send the leg back, try to reach back a little bit longer, reach to that inner thigh, and then go ahead and set your knee down. Wiggle your hips a little bit. And then you're going to send the right arm out in front of you. And reach from your armpit out into that hand, and then exhale, pull your elbow in. And inhale, reach it out. Exhale, elbow in. Two more, inhale. Exhale, round the spine. Once more. And then reach it out again. And then you're going to take your left leg. It could be on the floor or it could be up, but you're lifting from the inner thigh and reaching from your heart out into that hand. And then go ahead and set both hands down. We'll exhale, bring the knee in towards the nose. And inhale, send it back. And exhale into the nose. And inhale, send it back. One more. Exhale. Reach it back, lift that inner thigh. And then set your foot down. You're going to take your right foot and bring it up towards the front of your mat. And here's where, if you had a block or you wanted to get your hands up higher, you could. We're going to try to scooch that foot forward just as far as you can get it. And then work on straight-ish leg. So it might not get totally straight, but we want to start to extend that leg. And you can let your torso come towards the leg if that feels okay to you, or you can try to just stay lifted and work with a few deep breaths. I'm going to bend back into your right knee. So plant the foot down, take your hands up. Then you're going to reach your arms back behind you and try to lean your heart forward over your thigh. Right. Finding your breath, one more exhale. And you can relax your arms and bring yourself up. And then your front leg, this is going to be a little hard. It's going to be a little bit weird to balance, but try to bring that leg something like straight-ish. And then reach your hands back. Maybe your heart goes forward a little bit. This is really hard. And then go ahead and bend the knee gently. Bring your hands down, switch sides. So you've got your left foot forward. And you're gonna scooch it as far forward as you can get so you have the room to start to straight-ish your leg. You can bring your body down towards the thigh or you can stay lifted. One more exhale. And then go ahead and bend into that knee. Again, you're gonna take your hands up. Have your foot planted down, reach your arms back and reach them back really strong as you take your heart forward like it's gonna get above your knee, maybe. One more exhale. Relax your arms, come up and you're gonna shift so that you have that mostly straight or kind of like straight front leg. You don't want to spend too much time on knees, so just kind of going for that leaning forward with the heart and back with the hands. And then bend back into the knee. Go ahead and take your hands down. We'll come all the way down onto our bellies. And when you get down there, you can rest your head, your forehead or a cheek on your hands. And take your legs, you want to be on the tops of your feet. Maybe you push down on the tops of your feet and feel your inner thighs roll up, your legs turn on a little bit more. And then float your feet up off of the ground. Feel your inner thighs lifting up. Sometimes like the feet kind of roll out. We want to lift the inner thighs. And then go ahead and rest your legs. Take your arms back behind you. You can interlace your fingers if you want to, but you don't have to if you don't like that. And lift the chest up. And then maybe you lift the legs up and you try to lift the inner thighs. And then lower it down. And then come up again. If you've got the bind, you can keep the bind. If you don't want the bind, you don't need it. But if you've got the bind, lift up again. And then if you had the bind, release the bind, but try to keep your inner thighs lifted and your breath going. And then lower it down. And bring your hands in underneath, they're right behind your shoulders. And then pick your hips up, push yourself up, and then press back into downward facing dog. And then walk through your heels a little bit, working your calves out. Make sure your armpits are what's pushing down into your hands. And then bringing your feet towards your hands and your hands towards your feet, finding a fold. And then start to bring yourself up to standing. I'm going to do a bit of footwork. So you're going to take, just take one of your feet and then you're going to press the heel up and forward. And then go all the way over it so that you're on the toenail side of your foot. And then back onto the toes and set your foot down. And then try that again. See if you can roll all the way through to the toenail side and then back down and all the way through. And they might fall over like I did. And just one more time like that. And then switch sides. Bring the weight over. I'm going to press the heel up and then go over the toenail side and then the heel and down and see about smoothing it out. It's a very not smooth kind of thing. And then step your feet about hip width distance apart so you get just a little bit of room. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. When you get there, we're going to go into a forward fold and try to take your peace fingers and wrap them around your big toes. So you can bend your knees as much as you need to get there. Take your peace fingers together and try to bring them around your toes. You don't have to straighten your legs at all, but try to relax your head down. So you want your belly and your thighs to be pretty close together. If it feels really good for you to try to straighten your legs here, if you want to create that deeper hamstring work, you can do that, but really just thinking about holding onto the toes and bringing the belly close to the thighs. One more breath out. And then release your toes. Start to bring yourself back up to standing. And then bring your feet in together to touch. And as you squeeze your inner thighs in towards each other, so you have this inseam that starts to come together, they'll get just a little bit more lifted forward. You can kind of feel the weight moving forward towards your toes. And then maybe your heels start to hover up off of the ground. And you keep squeezing the inner thighs in together and feeling the fronts of your hips lift up. If you're feeling good here, you might reach the arms up too. You might feel that lift you higher up on your toes. Maybe you're already kind of at your max there. Take another big breath in. And then go ahead and bring yourself on down. Okay. Just gonna look down and kind of play with the toes a little bit, like trying to lift your big toes up. And set them down and try to lift the other toes up. And try to spread the toes out, bringing them back down onto the floor, and spread them out as you lift them up. And spread them out as you put them down, and spread them out as you pick them up, and spread them out as you put them down. And then we're going to come down into a forward fold again. And this time you're going to try to get your hands where it's palm up, and you're going to slide it kind of underneath your foot. So you can bend your knees as much as you need, trying to get as much of your foot on your hands as possible. And then you're just going to kind of push the toes down into the palms of your hands. So we're massaging those metacarpals and metatarsals, the wrists and the toes and the foot bones. And then free your hands from your feet and come on up to standing. Okay. I'm going to go into a lunge. So take your right foot forward and your left foot back. If you can be up on your toes, you can try to feel a little bit more of this center energy pulling in, but if you need the heel down, you can have the heel down. We'll take the arms up, and then it's that inner thighs lifting up. You can even think of the back inner thigh. Sometimes it doesn't really lift up. If you really lift it up, you'll feel a little bit more centered in your hips. Big breath in here. And then relax your arms. Go ahead and set the back foot down so you've got the whole heel on the ground. And then you're going to lift up your front toes. Another one of those uncomfortable kind of balancing places. Make sure your right hip pulls back. It's going to have a tendency to slide out to the side. Reach your arms back, and then try to bring your heart forward above your toes that are lifted up in the air, making this a very strange balance and place to breathe. And then come on up, bend into that knee again. Lift your arms up, warrior one. And then you're going to take your arms back. You can lean forward here. We're going to come up to stand up on the right leg, lift the left toes for a little bit. Good. And then try to lift your heart. And then set your feet down. Go ahead and stand up. And take your right foot back. If you can be on your toes, try to be on your toes. If it's not working, you can have that back foot down, but you'll get a little bit more of the hips being squared forward. Take your arms up. Do the inner thigh lift up on that back leg. Maybe you feel your spine getting a little bit taller. Take a big breath in. And then go ahead and release the back foot. Take your arms down. I'm going to try to lift up the front toes and pull these inner thighs in. Pull the left hip back as you reach your arms back and your heart forward. This is really, really hard to do. One more exhale. And pick yourself back up. Bend into the front knee. Lift your arms up. We're going to go from warrior one to warrior three. You can sweep the arms back so that you can reach the hands back towards the feet as you lift that back leg up, and try to lift your inner thighs so you stay a little bit more squared. And then after just a beat, you can go ahead and set both feet down. Wiggle out of it. Take your feet stepped out really wide on your mat. And then just pick a side, turn your toes over that way, and we'll go into triangle pose. So try to keep your legs straight, that front leg, go down just as much as feels good to you. And then you can take the other arm up in the air. Good. Just pushing down into your front foot. And a little chance for that hamstring to unwind a little bit more. One more exhale. And bring the top hand to your hip, lift yourself up. Go ahead and switch your feet over. And just go to triangle pose on the other side. Shift your hips back. Take your arm down, open this top shoulder. Try to push down in the front foot, the one that you're getting the big hamstring stretch in. One more exhale. Then bring your hands to your hips, stand yourself up. You're going to turn all 10 toes to face towards the long side of your mat. So keep legs out wide and then come down into a fold here. You can bend your knees if you like. You can fold yourself down in between your legs as much as you like. One more breath out. And start to lift yourself up, bring your hands into your hips, and bring your feet towards each other. If you would like to have something in front of you, just in case you would prefer to have a slightly like longer arms and have the floor not so far away, we're going to come into a fold. And you want to bend your knees a lot and get your belly in towards your thighs. And when you get your belly in towards your thighs, you're just going to move your weight towards one of your feet and try to lift the other leg up. And it doesn't have to get high, but try to lift your inner thighs so your pelvis stays squared. And then switch sides. Set a foot down, lift the other one up, lift those inner thighs. See about how much you're able to get your torso towards your thigh. And then set both feet down, relax your neck, and go ahead and bring yourself up to standing. So if we're going to work through a little bit of a flow, if you want to try to be close to a wall or a pillar or whatever, just in case you might just have something handy, like a little balanced security blanket, you could go that route. We're going to go from having one knee up in front, lift it up, and then you're going to swoop your hands back and come into a little warrior three. Try to lift your inner thighs. And then come back up. Lift your inner thighs. Send the foot back, the heart forward. Lift the you-know-whats. And then one more time. And then come back to standing. And bounce things out a little bit. I think it's kind of intensity, but it's that same thing. It's that lifting out of the joint. It's getting in through this center. It's really easy to fall out of warrior three because the body tends to open up. So we want to bring that center seam together. So I'll switch to the other side. Go ahead and lift your knee up, lift your heart, and then send that foot back, heart forward, lift your inner thighs, and then up, lifting the knee, inhale. Exhale, reach the leg back. One more time, inhale. Exhale. And then come back to standing. Step your feet a little bit wider than hip width. We'll come down into a fold again. Bend more into your left leg. And then you can just feel your right hip pressing out. If you wanted to bring your right hand to your hip, if that feels good, just gonna stretch out this outer hip. And then switch sides. Taking your right hand down, bend your right leg more than your left leg. Take your left hand maybe up to your left hip. One more exhale. And then both hands down. Go ahead and bring yourself up to standing. I did a little bit of standing splits before, and I want to try to do it again. And you want to try to bring your torso as close to your leg as possible. And the part that we're going to try to play with is not having hands down, because this tends to like take us out here. You want to be on your foot. And then if anything, you can like test hands, but you might try to hold like one hand on your leg, or you can reach them back, and you don't have to hold it long. So go for it. Pick a leg to stand on and come out over it. Try to make sure that the weight isn't in your hands, that it's in your foot. Yeah. And even just less weight on fingertips makes it spicier. And then you can switch sides, because we've been standing on one leg a lot. So you don't have to lift that standing leg, the lifted leg up high, but lift your inner thighs so your hips stay even, and that'll make it easier to, yeah. Nice. That's awesome, Tom. You could hold that forever. Come on up. Yeah. Are you done with us, Kathy? Yeah, that's all right. Okay. I think coming down to a seat is perfectly reasonable at this point. I've been doing a lot of standing. Oh my gosh. Oh, that really was great. You were like in it. That's awesome. Did it feel good? Yeah. Well, that's why we do it. You did the flow part. The flow is hard. Going in between those two places is hard. But yeah, you got it. Go ahead with soles together and just come for, and if it feels better with the feet real far, yeah, just bring it wherever it feels good, and settle into a couple easy breaths. Yeah. Yeah. It's so hard when we have like the leg back there, like you don't really know what it's doing anymore, you know? And it just, once it starts to open up, it changes where the pelvis is, and that the pelvis isn't squared and forward. Yeah. And then you think about it, you're like any sort of balance that takes you off of that squared pelvis space, your whole foundation, your major, like we all have like our major center of gravity right in here. And if you take it off, it's, if you take it off center, the whole rest of you is likely to follow. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. It's about where is my center and where am I? Mm-hmm. Yep. You just want to stay like in this center space. Can I, even when I'm all kinds of off balance, like where's my center space? Where are we? Okay, we're doing great. Okay, take your legs out fairly wide, whatever feel. Oh, never mind. Take them in. It's like, what am I doing? Oh yeah, that part won't work yet. So you're gonna take one leg and cross it over. We'll just take a twist to each side. So go over your front leg. Yep, just using your hand to support you. Soften your belly as you twist over. One more exhale with a nice soft belly. And relax your twister to twist over the other way just for a moment. Yeah. And release that. Take your leg out. Bye. Oh. Yes. Bye. Yeah, and then switch legs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And go over. Yeah. Mm. One more exhale. And then a little twist the other way, same legs, just a little counter twist, and then coming back to the front and unwind your legs, and then taking them out wide for real this time. And as you turn yourself over one leg, we're going to go into, and it's going to take that little bit of twisting as you go in. So think about the belly softening, and then pick a leg to extend out over. And you can bend it in towards you, same kind of things that we've been doing, yeah. Two more nice long breaths. And start to walk it back and change over towards the other leg, getting that softness in your belly that'll let you twist over in that direction. Two more nice, long, slow breaths. And start to lift yourself up. Take your arm over and then reach the other arm up so that you get nice and long through that side of your spine. One more exhale. And then switching sides, reaching over and taking your arm up. And coming back up, starting with your arms back behind you. So you can lift up through your chest. If you'd like to walk yourself further forward, coming into a more of a fold, you can. If you would like to have your arms in front of you, if you find that more helpful, you can go that route. Holding on to your legs, yeah, wherever. It doesn't need to be a deep fold. One more exhale. And then go ahead and relax that. We're going to bring the legs back towards each other again. Going to take one leg and bring it across and try to bring this foot over a little bit more. So you have more of a cross of your thighs. So you can be on the pinky toe edge of the foot. The foot might come back in here. It might not, but you're going to go for having thighs squished as much as possible. You can even take the foot out at an angle if that works better in your knee. And then just bring yourself towards that knee. One more exhale. And then switch sides, take the leg out. And then cross this leg over, and you want to bring the foot over as much as possible so that the knee comes down. And you can bring the foot in towards your hip, or it can go out further if that's better for your knee, but you're trying to get them about as squished as possible, and then coming out over your leg. And this is going to get that bottom hamstring like a lot more. It makes a big difference. One more exhale. And then coming up, sending your legs down in front of you, and then move your feet and your legs around, just giving a little shift. And if you want to sit up on a block, you can sit on a block. If you want to, we're just going to go crisscross applesauce. If you don't want to sit on the block, no, sit on the block. I think it's easier to sit on the block. And then the way that you crossed your legs is probably the way we normally cross the legs. So switch it. That way we'll end on the way we normally cross the legs, and it might be more comfortable. I'm going to take a hand down, reach this arm over. And then come up through the center and switch sides. And then come up, and this time as you come in that side bend, don't touch the floor. Like maybe you just reach over a little bit, over a little bit. And you might start to feel like you're kind of falling off of your hips or off of your block. And then come back to the center and bring your hands down. If you want to bring your hands behind you so that you're supported and just lean forward a little bit, you can. If you want to bring your hands in front of you, you can walk them out. If you have any degree of fold to curl inwards in, and especially if you are sitting up on something that can feel very off center in the hips, that's okay. And then walking it back. And then whatever way you had your legs crossed, cross them back to the way that you probably feel more centered in, more natural. And then come into a side bend. And switching sides over. And then come back up, and this time try not to touch the floor. Switch over. And over. And over. And come back to the center. Bring your hands down to your heart. And then with your hands behind you or in front of you, finding whatever degree of fold feels good in your body. One more exhale. And walk your hands back up. You can place your hands on your thighs or hands at your heart, maybe closing your eyes for a moment. Just observing the sensations that are in your body. Watching your breath. Take another deep breath in. Deep breath out. And you can release your hands and open your eyes, and we're going to start to transition onto our backs. If you've got your block handy, you can keep it near you. I'm going to adjust the lights. We're going to take knees bent. And then you're going to take your block, and just on its low setting, you're going to push into your feet so that you can lift your hips and just slide that block right underneath your sacrum, your lower back. So you should feel like it rests pretty sturdy there. And then if you like, you can let your knees move a couple of inches side to side, which gives you a little massage of the back into the block. If that's uncomfortable, then don't worry about it, but it can be a little bit of a massage. And take one leg and extend it up in the air. If you want to try extending both legs up in the air, you can play with that as well. Or you can just switch legs at this point. It's up to you. And starting to release both legs back down. Push into your feet so that you can lift your hips up and take the block away. Move that block up above your head and bring your knees into your chest. We'll take your knees out wide, reach your feet up and go into happy baby. Rocking around a bit if it feels good to you. And then releasing your feet in, releasing your knees in. Let both of your knees go over towards the right side, coming into a twist. Open your arms up as much as feels good to you. Finding something to relax every time you exhale. One more breath out. And then switching over towards the other side. And taking a moment to relax your right collarbone when you get there. Notice if anything feels a little sticky and if you can feel some more softness there. One more breath out. And then coming back to the center, set your feet down, let your knees knock against each other, and take a hand to your belly and a hand to your heart. Feeling the movement of your breath and of your heartbeat. I'm going back to that idea of just trying to seek comfortable all of the time. It's like if we were bedridden or spent too many days just in bed with the cat and snacks, the body starts to deteriorate and it becomes painful. We need some semblance of getting outside of our comfort zone consistently. We need that stimulus, that change. For now, though, beginning to settle into that place where you are ready for rest, knowing that you can soak this in and enjoy it, and then be that much more restored and prepared for whatever else there is to come. Rain, holiday shopping, whatever it is. And enjoy this Shavasana, this very beautiful rest. Start to come back to your body. Becoming more alert, making some small movements. When you're ready, rolling yourself over to one side, taking a moment of gratitude for coming to practice. And then finding your own version of a comfortable seat. Sealing our practice by releasing an Om together. Big breath in. Bowing down to the love and light that resides in each of our hearts. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. I will be here. Yep. I'm going to be around. I really dislike traveling at the holidays, and I have a lot of chosen family to be with, so I'll see my parents at other times. Bye, Ruth.